Have you ever thought about what goes through someone's mind when they ignore or reject someone who really cares about them? Let's be honest. You loved them, you made an effort, but they treated you as if you didn't exist, and you responded accordingly. Yes, let's assume that this time they already knew what you were going to do. You chose to remain silent. Now here's where things get interesting. What if your silence wasn't the surprise move you thought it was? What if they were counting on it? What if they knew you'd back off and were eager for the day you finished giving? Now they're laughing and smirking, feeling good. They thought your silence wasn't a twist. They thought it was the next part they knew was coming. Imagine they're laughing and your silence isn't hitting them as expected. What if your silence makes them happy instead of making them miss you? What if they're thinking, "Oh, I know them. I was expecting this." How predictable and boring. Instead of feeling the weight of your silence, they perceive you as predictable. They assume that your silence will have an impact on them. How funny. Have you ever thought about this? Is your silence playing into their hands? Are you giving them exactly what they expected? If you're ready to figure out this twisted game of human psychology, read on. You can help spread this message to more people who are looking for answers by clicking the like button below the video and subscribing to our channel. This isn't like our other videos about the power of silence. This time we're switching things around. We've already talked about how going silent can have unpredictable effects. But what happens when they expect it and think they've already won? With your help, someone can break out of a circle they thought they'd never be able to. Escape. And now, let's begin. Envision that they are sitting there, content and certain that your silence signifies their victory. In their minds, your withdrawal is just a surrender move that they could see coming from miles away. They think they've relegated you to the status of a forgotten memory. They believe they anticipated this outcome because they perceive your silence as a sign of their constant dominance, implying that you've surrendered and lost significance. They see no threat in your quiet and only see victory. However, my friend, they are incredibly naive to believe that your silence is solely focused on them, as if you're simply waiting for them to notice, to miss you, or to recognize your value. It's amusing how they believe that despite the disrespect, indifference and manipulation they've inflicted upon you, you still care that you're waiting for them. They're so wrong. You shouldn't tell me you're still doing this for them or sitting there silently picturing, "I hope they will finally understand what they have lost." Hey, lost. No. You are a Stoic, and a Stoic does not seek praise or wait for others to validate their position by remaining motionless. It's never been about them. It's always been about you. It's about reclaiming your peace, your power, and your sense of self-worth. It's about picking dignity over drama, strength over sensitivity, and purpose over pain, because a Stoic doesn't just survive betrayal. A Stoic transcends it. Say it with me. Say it out loud in the comments. My silence is my strength. Let the world know that you are thriving. They perceive you as predictable, yet they are unaware of your Stoic side, so speak up. Declare to the world that your silence is your strength, and that you've risen above them, for while they continue to believe they've won, you're just beginning. First of all, they believe they've triumphed, but in reality they haven't. As we've previously discussed, they interpret your silence as evidence of their victory. They revel in their perceived triumph, certain that your silence signifies defeat. They convince themselves they're invincible and untouchable. They believe they've reduced you to a distant memory, a weak, irrelevant figure in a narrative where they are the undisputed champion. They don't understand that silence isn't always what it seems to be. It's not a sign of giving up. It's the calm before the storm. You see, they want drama, which means they want to talk about how much they hurt you over and over again. They want chaos, not stillness. When you don't give them emotional outbursts, but instead go silent, they think they've won. But their biggest mistake is thinking that your silence is just another cheap trick they've seen before. In their twisted minds, they think you're playing the same petty game they mastered: push, pull, retreat, return. They believe that you are employing silence as a bait to entice them, thereby inciting the same emotional turmoil they have repeatedly inflicted upon you. Oh, how wrong they are! They fail to comprehend that your silence isn't about them. It's not a ploy, a strategy, or a desperate attempt to win them back. Your silence is freedom. It's a clean break from their toxic loop. It's not about making them feel anything. It's about choosing not to feel anything for them anymore. They think you're watching your phone, waiting for a message that finally gets under their skin. They think you're anxiously waiting for that message, that apology, that desperate plea to return. But the truth is that you're not playing their game. You've left the arena entirely, and oh, that's the one move they didn't see coming. See, manipulators think everyone acts like them. Your silence isn't part of some grand strategy. It's an exit. While they think they're holding the strings, you've already cut them and walked away without saying a word to them. Silence has been a tool all along, a way to cause confusion, guilt, and fear, but they'll never get that silence isn't a weapon for you. To rise above, transcend, and rebuild in the shadows where they can't reach is peace, the quiet strength of someone who doesn't need to explain, argue, or seek closure. They want you to break, crack, and send that one last message telling them how much they hurt you because they need you to care. That's how their power works. But when they realize you're gone, they'll know they lost you. Silence, not as a tactic, but as a declaration of insignificance, causes their world to disintegrate, leaving them with nothing but the hollow ESS they've been evading all along. One day, when they finally understand that your silence wasn't about manipulation, but about liberation, they'll realize too late that they never won. They weren't even playing the same game. They were stuck in a petty cycle while you were building a life they'll never be a part of. Now it doesn't matter what they think. While they're busy second-guessing themselves and wondering if you're trying to make them miss you, you've already left that world where their opinions, power, and control no longer exist. Say it with me. My silence isn't a game, it's my freedom. Declare it aloud in the comments section, for even as they continue to play, you've already secured the second victory. The mask they wear has become vulnerable. Their carefully crafted mask of lies, arrogance, and empty confidence guides them through life. To the outside world, they seem untouchable, powerful, and even charming. They play the part of someone in charge, someone superior, someone who always wins, but they never want you to see what's really going on behind that mask. They've spent their whole lives getting better at this, learning how to play with people's feelings, lie, and make people think they're better than they really are. They know how to say the right things, show the perfect smile, and hide what they really want. They live on lying because without it, their whole front falls apart. But here's the truth. They can't hide it. The mask they wear is breaking. Though they'll claim everything is fine, they're still in charge, and no one can reach them. They know their lies are coming back to haunt them. Their mask isn't made of steel. It's made of fragile glass, and every broken vow, trick, and person they've hurt adds to the damage. You see, they build this mask because they're terrified of being seen for who they really are, weak, insecure, and powerless. They wear arrogance like armor, hoping no one will notice the hollow, desperate person hiding underneath. They need to feel superior, because the idea of being, or ordinary, of being forgotten, is something they can't bear. And for a while their mask worked, didn't it? They fooled you. They made you believe they were strong, confident, worthy of your love, your time, your energy. They played the role of someone important in your life while treating you like you were disposable, But what they didn't count on was you waking up the moment you saw through their mask. Their game changed forever. They expected you to stay blind, to keep believing their lies, to keep giving while they took without remorse. They thought you'd never see them for what they truly are, a scared, insecure person hiding behind fake confidence. But now you know that every time they ignored, you dismissed your feelings or played with your emotions. It wasn't a sign of strength, it was a sign of weakness. It was their way of trying to regain control because they were losing it. They acted indifferent because they couldn't handle facing the truth. You were slipping away, and they couldn't stop it. Behind that mask is someone terrified of being exposed, someone who can't stand the idea of being vulnerable, honest, or real. They've spent their entire lives running from their true selves, burying their insecurities under layers of manipulation, lies, and mind games. But no matter how well they play the part, reality has a way of catching up, and now it's catching up to them. They can't wear that mask forever. Every game they played, every heart they broke, every person they used, leaves a crack behind. They thought they could cover those cracks with more lies, more manipulation, but even the strongest facade can only hold for so long. Eventually it breaks, and when it does, oh, they'll have nothing left. No lies to hide behind, no games to play, no one left to manipulate. Just the cold, harsh truth staring back at them. The truth that they were never as strong as they pretended to be. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." They became the very monster. They feared being exposed as a hollow shell of someone who needs power over others to feel important. But you're different. You don't need to wear a mask. You don't need to pretend to be something you're not. You faced the pain. You rose above the hurt, betrayal, and sadness. You became smarter, stronger, and more durable, not because you wore a mask, but because you tore yours off. You embraced your reality, confronted your challenges directly, and emerged victorious. They depend on illusions to stay alive, but you thrive on reality. They try to hide their reality, but you own yours, so let them wear their mask and cling to their fragile facade. Pretend ending. They're still in control. You don't need to expose them. Their actions will do that for you. The mask will disintegrate spontaneously, revealing the bare person beneath. Say it with me. I see through the mask. Drop it in the comments and say, own it. While they're desperately trying to keep their mask from breaking, you've already moved on and risen higher than they ever thought possible. And when that mask finally breaks, they'll realize they were never as strong as they pretended to be, and you were never as weak as they hoped you'd be. Number 3, what they didn't expect. Okay, we know what they're expecting, but what do you think they're not expecting? They believed they understood your boundaries and your threshold for frustration. They expected your silence to be a slow fade. They didn't anticipate that your silence would pave the way for something far more significant. They believed they had penned the last chapter of your tale, a melancholic conclusion where you remain ensnared in recollections of past possibilities. However, you were never the conclusion they anticipated. You were the plot twist they never saw coming, while they're sitting there smug and satisfied, thinking you've disappeared into the shadows. You're building in those very shadows. You're becoming something they can't comprehend. Unshaken, unstoppable, untouchable. Think of a volcano. Silent, still seemingly lifeless. But beneath the surface, power is building. Pressure is rising, and one day, without warning, that silent mountain erupts. Unstoppable, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. That's you. They thought you'd stay buried under the rubble they left behind. But what they never expected was that you were using that silence to rebuild, to rise higher, stronger, and better than ever before. The great writer. They thought they had burned you to ashes, but what they didn't know is that legends are born in ashes. You are the phoenix rising from the fire that they thought would consume you. They'll never understand how you turned destructive action into creation, pain into power, and silence into a roar that the world can't ignore. They were expecting a victim. What they didn't expect was a warrior, because while they were celebrating your fall, you were sharpening your mind, building your strength, and fortifying your soul. Every tear, every lonely night, and every whispered doubt became fuel for your transformation. You didn't just survive, you thrived. Oh, and when they finally realize what you've become, it will be too late. They thought you needed them. They thought your silence was a desperate attempt to make them miss you. They were wrong. You didn't fall silent because you were broken. You were done. You were done. After giving up chasing and explaining your worth to someone who would never see it, you focused your energy on your dreams, goals, and purpose. You ceased to wait for them to recognize your worth, realizing that they had never defined it in the first place, as expressed by a legendary musician. Someone once said that huge success is the best revenge. But here's the thing, it wasn't about revenge at all. They think you're coming back to prove a point, but you're not. You're not even looking in their direction. You are living a future so bright that it blinds anyone who ever doubted you, while they remain stuck in the past. You represent a tumultuous force they were oblivious to, one they once believed they could manage or ignore, but now they find themselves beyond your grasp. Remember this, the lion. It doesn't need to roar or make a noise to demonstrate its dominance in the J-League. Its strength and power are already well known. That's you. Your quiet is proof of your power. Your absence is the echo they can't escape. People will never forget you, now that you're no longer someone they can use. No. Matter what happens, how you react matters. They were waiting for your response, your anger, your heartbreak. But your lack of response has broken their whole sense of control. When they thought they had the strings, you cut them one by one until they can't pull further. Oh, and when they finally realize what you've become, it'll be too late. They'll be sitting there wondering where you went, what you're thinking, and whether you ever cared. However, by that time, you will have advanced significantly, leading a fulfilling life, liberated from the constraints they attempted to impose upon you. Therefore, it doesn't matter if they perceive you as engaging in games or employing their familiar strategies. While they're busy analyzing and second-guessing whether you're trying to make them miss you, you've already moved on. You've entered a world where their opinions, power, and control no longer exist. I'm the storm they didn't see coming. Comment. Own and live it, because you're the finish they didn't expect, and the beginning they'll never forget. The fourth escape involves regaining power, akin to the Stoic image of a ship at sea, battered by unending storms. The wind howls and the waves crash, and for a moment it looks like the ship might sink. However, within it lies a silent, unseen anchor that remains immovable. The anchor maintains stability amidst chaos, and you embody that ship. Your inner strength, your ability to stay still, cool, and steady, is your anchor. That's what it means to reclaim power like a Stoic. Being unshakable in the storm is more important than beating it. People laughed at your silence and thought they had you beat, betting you would drift off course and sink, but your anchor foiled them. You can take back your power like a Stoic when you don't need their support, validation, or acknowledgement. Your power comes from within, not from a situation. When you understand that no storm can sink you, as the wise Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, you control your mind, not the outside world. This is the final truth. If you understand it, you will be strong. Control your mind, and you control everything. No one can control someone who has mastery over their feelings. They can throw rocks, cause chaos, and make things confusing. But if you stay calm, nothing can affect you. To regain power like a Stoic, You can't ignore pain or act like you don't care. Instead, acknowledge the hurt, sort out your feelings, and let them go. It means refusing to let outside chaos take over. Control your inner peace by realizing that your worth doesn't depend on how other people treat you, but on how you choose to respond. Imagine a candle in the dark. No matter how dark it gets, the candle keeps burning steadily and quietly without any fanfare. The darkness can't put out the flame because it comes from within. That's you. They thought your silence meant you were out, that they had put out your light, but you were actually burning brighter than ever, just out of reach. They didn't notice because they were too busy looking for fireworks when they should have been afraid of the quiet flame that never dies. Taking back power. Like a Stoic, you know when to leave a situation, not to draw attention to yourself, but because you've grown past it. This means picking your fights wisely and realizing that not every slight, insult, betrayal or annoyance is worth your time. One of the greatest strengths people can have is the ability to let things go and keep going. As the philosopher Seneca said, the man who wants more is poor. They wanted power over you and enjoyed controlling your emotions and making you doubt your worth. But now that you've taken away their attention, they can't live without it. You regain your energy when you stop reacting, your peace when you stop seeking closure, and your freedom when you let go of needing them to see your value. They thought they had the strings, but what they didn't know was that the power to cut them was always yours. They thought you would be like a puppet, dancing when they pulled and falling when they let go, but you were never a puppet. You were the one holding the blade. Reclaiming power like a Stoic means taking care of yourself, means understanding that your happiness and your success in the future, none of it depends on anyone else. You don't need them to see your worth. You've always been worthy. They think power comes from making others submit, but true power comes from rising above it. It comes from standing tall when everything around you tries to break you. It comes from being your own rescue, from becoming the person who no longer needs someone to come back, apologize, or acknowledge what they did. The great philosopher Epictetus once said, "We suffer not from events but from our judgments about them. You can't control what they did. You can't change the past, but you can change how you view it, how you let it shape your future. You can choose to let it make you bitter or let it make you better. Because here's the truth. They don't want you to know the most dangerous person in the world is someone who doesn't need anything from anyone, someone who is whole, complete, and secure in themselves. That's you. You've reclaimed your power, not through revenge, not through confrontation, but through transformation. They thought your silence was defeat, but it was a declaration that you no longer live in their world, follow their rules, or seek their approval. Say it's with me. Drop it in the comments and say it with all your might, but not for them. You are the anchor that keeps you steady in the storm and the flame that keeps you burning through the darkest nights. You are the master of your own mind, and once you reclaim that power, nothing and no one can ever take it away. Imagine playing a game where the other player is sure they've already won. Their certainty of victory causes them to lose focus, believing the game is over. They laugh, relax, and enjoy their triumph until you make the one move they didn't see coming. Oh, that's the moment. They anticipated the end of a forgotten chapter, but they were unprepared for your ascent. While they celebrated your loss, you quietly healed and changed. They thought your story was over, but your silence was actually the beginning of your transformation, and when they finally realize what's happened, it will be too late. They thought you would stay stuck in the past, remembering what they did and longing for closure. They thought leaving you would define your existence, but they missed when you moved on. It's like a seed buried deep in the ground that looks dead and forgotten to the outside world. The roots stretch the seed and grow quietly, gathering strength until one day it breaks through the soil. They thought they buried you, but they were actually planting you, and now you're the force they didn't expect. As the renowned philosopher Lao once said, silence is a source of renowned strength. They thought silence meant defeat, but they never understood its power. Silence is not emptiness. It embodies potential and redirects energy towards growth. They believed you had vanished, but in reality, you were undergoing a transformation they were unaware of. What happened wasn't a dramatic fight or emotional outburst. It wasn't revenge or a big show of power. The flip was your change. You stopped justifying yourself. You stopped needing approval, and you stopped playing their game altogether. And when they finally notice your absence, it will hit them like a storm they weren't ready for. They'll look for the person they thought they left behind, but that person doesn't exist anymore. Instead, they'll see someone they can't control, someone who doesn't react, and someone whose life thrives without the minute. The flip isn't about making them regret. It's about realizing that you never needed them in the first place. The poet Rumi once said, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Let life live through you. The wound is where the light enters you." They thought they broke you with their indifference, but what they never understood is that every wound they caused became a doorway to your strength. Every time they underestimated you, dismissed you, or ignored you, they handed you the keys to your own freedom, and now you're unstoppable. They expected you to stay frozen in the past, consumed by thoughts of what could have been. But you've outgrown that world. While they were playing the same old game, you were building a new life, one where their existence no longer matters. They never anticipated your success, your happiness, and your ability to let go. They believed your silence was about them, but it was never about them. It was about reclaiming yourself, your worth, and your future. They expected retaliation, resolution, and confrontation, yet you remained silent and offered no explanation, no plea. Just silence, and that silence will echo louder than any words ever could, because here's the thing about people who play games. They expect drama. They expect you to come back to fight, to react. They expect noise, not stillness. So when you respond with nothing, it terrifies them. It forces them to face themselves. And that's something they've been running from all along. As the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Your greatest move wasn't revenge. It was freedom. It was walking away without a backward glance. It was building a life so full, so rich, so powerful, that their opinion no longer holds any weight. They thought they were the main character in your story, but you've rewritten the script. You are the hero of your life, the one who rose without needing anyone's permission, the one who thrived without seeking approval, the one who reclaimed everything they thought they could take from you. So let them laugh now. Let them believe they've won, because while they're stuck in the past, you're living in the future. Say it with me. I am the flip they never saw coming. Drop it in the comments. Declare it. Own you are the end they didn't anticipate, and the beginning they'll never recognize. Escape number 6. They were never the prize you are. Imagine a hunter chasing a shimmering mirage in the desert, convinced it's a priceless treasure. They run toward it, with everything they have, driven by greed and hunger for something valuable. But when they finally reach it, they realize it was nothing, just an illusion created by their own desperation. That's them. They walked away, believing they were the prize, that you were the one chasing them. Desperate for validation, love, and acceptance in their mind, they were the treasure, the one worth fighting for, the one you could never replace. They thought their absence would leave you shattered, longing and empty. Oh, how wrong they were. The real prize was never them. It was you. It was always you. But they were too blind, too arrogant, too consumed by their own inflated sense of importance to see it. They thought they were untouchable, someone you couldn't live without. But in reality, they were the mirage and illusion you finally saw for what it truly was. Empty, fake and meaningless. While they were busy playing games, pretending to be special, you were the one giving your love, your loyalty, your time. You brought value into their life, but they were too self-absorbed to appreciate it. They took everything you offered and made you believe it was their presence that made you whole. They were never the prize, you are the poet. Maya Angelou once said, "Never make someone a priority when all they are for you is an option." They treated you like an afterthought, something they could pick up and throw away whenever they wanted. You gave them everything, but now you see the truth. They thought being wanted, chased and needed made them valuable, but real worth comes from being irreplaceable. They thought their presence gave your life meaning, but they didn't realize it was your light that made everything meaningful. Shine without you. They're just normal. They tried to convince you that having them was a blessing and that they were the best thing in the world. But what did they really offer you? Lies, manipulation, and emotional games. They made empty promises to keep you interested. You were the one who showed real love, loyalty, and commitment. You supported them through tough times, worked on the relationship, and believed in them. They were never the source of value. They were merely taking while you were giving. Seneca, a philosopher, once said that wealth is not having many things, but having few wants. They wanted your attention, love, and energy, but didn't give anything in return. They took it because they thought they deserved it, but what they were really taking was something rare and valuable, and now they've lost it. They thought they'd left you behind, but what they really did was leave behind the best thing that ever happened to them. They believed they would be fine without you, believing that someone else could easily replace what you brought into their lives. But deep down they know that's impossible because you're the most important person in their lives. Prize because of who you are. Someone with a kind heart who loves deeply, someone who shows up fully even when it's hard. They'll never find that again. Not in the empty connections they chase or the shallow approval they seek from others. You were the prize all along, and when they finally realize it, when they see you, as they rise and do well, their lives no longer include them. They will feel awful about leaving, not because they liked you or because they've changed, but because they lost something truly irreplaceable. Ralph Waldo Emerson, a philosopher, once said that what people see in front of and behind us is not important compared to what is inside us. Your worth was always inside you. It wasn't based on how they treated you or whether they stayed or left. It was yours from the start, even when you couldn't see it because they were manipulating you. So let them think they were special. Let them think they were the prize. It doesn't matter anymore. You're past the illusion. You're past the lies. You're past the need for their approval. You've entered a world where you know your value. You set the standard. You are the prize. Say it with me. I am the prize. You've been invaluable throughout the entire period they were feigning importance, and now they'll never be able to reach you again. Say it in the comments, own it, and live it. The seventh point is about the unexpected fall. Imagine constructing a tower with shaky hands, using stolen bricks and pieces from other buildings. To the outside world, it looks impressively tall and untouchable, but on the inside, it's full of lies, manipulation, and broken promises. Cracks with holes. These cracks run deep through their core, ready to split, wide open when life's storms hit. That's them. They spent their whole lives pretending to be someone better than they were. They wore their confidence like armor, fooling everyone around them. They used other people as stepping stones to get higher, thinking their charm and cunning would keep them on top forever. But time has no mercy. It shows every hidden weakness and every false layer. Regardless of the meticulousness with which they crafted their facade or the skill with which they navigated the game, their failure was inevitable. At first, they didn't notice the cracks appearing beneath them because they were too busy enjoying their made-up success. Most people thought that life would always revolve around them, so they quickly moved on, thinking that you were just another discarded piece in their game. They thought they had broken you, so they left you behind and moved on without any consequences. But life has a way of teaching lessons to people who refuse to learn while they were busy chasing shallow validation, meaningless relationships, and temporary distractions. You were. They thought that their absence would destroy you, but it freed you. You stopped giving away your power. You stopped chasing, explaining, and hoping that you could let go. They thought that your silence meant defeat, but it was rebirth. While they kept doing the same harmful things, you changed, learned, grew, and became someone much greater than they ever imagined, someone they could never reach, and now they've fallen. Author Percy Shell once wrote, "They don't cry over the past or the opportunities they missed, but they do cry over everything they've lost, including the love they'll never feel again." At first, they won't admit it. They'll keep acting like life is perfect and nothing has changed. But the truth is that pretending can't last forever. Late at night, when everyone is asleep and there's no one else around to fool them, the weight of everything they've done will hit them like a falling tower, crushing, suffocating, and impossible to escape. They'll remember how you showed up with love, loyalty, and patience, traits they took for granted. They'll remember your fight, forgiveness, and faith long after they deserved it. They'll remember every time they pushed you away, sure that you'd always come back until the day you didn't. That's the fall they never saw coming. They thought they were untouchable. They thought they could play games forever. They thought they could discard and replace people like disposable objects without any consequences. But they forgot one universal truth. Life always collects its debts. Heraclitus, a Greek philosopher, once said that character is destiny. The lies they told, the hearts they broke, and the trust they betrayed shaped their destiny. They may have fooled everyone for a while, but they couldn't fool themselves. They'll try to numb the pain by seeking cheap thrills and approval from strangers. They constructed hollow relationships based on falsehoods, yet nothing can bridge the gap they created, as the loss they experienced was irreplaceable. They lost not just the version of you they knew, the one who loved them despite their flaws, the one who cared, the one who tried, but also the future you, the unstoppable force you became after walking away, the person they can never hurt or control again. One day, they will realize that they have not only lost someone who cared about them, but also the best thing that ever happened to them. By the time they finally understand what they lost, you'll be so far away that even memories of you will seem like a distant dream. They will search for an individual who is comparable to you. However, no one will ever be as exceptional as you, as individuals of your caliber are exceedingly uncommon. Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher, once said that people shouldn't be afraid of death, but of never starting to live. They found themselves ensnared in a cycle of meaningless games, failed relationships, and perpetual regret, all while striving to live life to the fullest. They became prisoners of the world they made, and that, my friends, is the fall they never saw coming. I am their final lesson. Leave it in the comments. Join me in declaring, I rise beyond their reach, for while they remain trapped in the ruins of their deceitful life, you are living a future they can only imagine, a conclusion from which they will never be able to break free. As you can see, they believed they had won, but in reality, they had never entered the game. While they stay trapped in the wreckage of their lies, you rise and build something they can't touch, a life full of strength, purpose, and freedom. Put it in the comments, own it, and let everyone know you've moved on. Then click the like button. Join this journey to unstoppable growth and resilience by subscribing. You're not just surviving, you're thriving. Remember that your story is just starting. See you in the next video.